Conflating anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism aside, you still have to acknowledge that the people of Israel are Jewish, and criticism of the Israeli people or character of Israelis aside from the actions of the government is still kind of racism. Wait, what? Yeah, it's also the same as doing it to white people. Okay? What are we doing? This is like basic shit. It's like saying, oh, white people can't dance. Okay? Yes, in a white supremacist country, making fun of white people, the dominant in-group on the virtues of whiteness, is not going to hit the same as all of the victims of white supremacy and making fun of them. One is reasserting the racial pecking order. The other one is actually just making jokes. Jokes that are not associated with any sort of historic pattern of violence that white people have received on the basis of whiteness. And the same goes for Israel. Yeah, when you say, oh, like something is Israeli coded or something is Israel coded, yeah, you're making fun of an entire fucking country of people, okay? Like, I understand that. But it's not like you're making fun of a historically dominated, or at least in contemporary society, dominated group of people and reasserting the racial pecking order. I've talked about this quite a bit. A lot of people would say, Hasan, you speak about anti-Semitism. You are doing Jewish exceptionalism. It's like, no, bigotry is bigotry, right? Jews are a small percentage of the American society, but by and large, they are not systematically discriminated against in the way that black people are or in the way that brown people are, because anti-Semitism is not a permissible form of bigotry, or institutionally permissible form of bigotry, rather. So while Jews can be victim to anti-Semitic hate crimes, of course, and it does happen, like, you know, going and spraying a swastika outside of a synagogue is an anti-Semitic hate crime, and it reminds Jews of historic violence that they have experienced. When we're talking about Israel, it's an entirely different thing. One of the examples I always use is the Star of David, right? If you were to spray paint the Star of David outside of a Jewish person's house in the Western world, that might be perceived as a threat. Understandable. You might be telling other people, like, there's a Jew that lives here, right? That's anti-Semitic. Except in Israel, when someone spray paints the Star of David outside of a house, that's a threat that is not anti-Semitic. That's a threat that Jewish settlers are going to come and firebomb your house. Okay? It's because Jews in Israel are the in-group. Because Israel is a Jewish ethno-state, a Jewish supremacist ethno-state, with an exterminationist ideology, with an exterminationist fascist ideology. That's precisely the reason why these are not replicable for American Jews. As a matter of fact, one of the funniest examples of this is fucking SNL. Israeli SNL, right? Like, when you look at shitty techno music or shitty art that has this fascist polish on it, and you say, this is so Israel coded, could you actually say this is so Jewish coded? Are Jews in the Western world notorious for making dog shit art? Don't you think it's the exact opposite? If anything, it heightens that contradiction. It heightens that separation. Yeah, of course. But that is what the sensitivity attached to. It feels like anti-Semitism. It's easy to feel like attacks against Israelis is still anti-Semitism. I definitely agree that the actions of the state of Israel are egregious. So for the people that are crying anti-Semitism about the criticism of Israel still experiencing the effects of that conflation, also chill, chat, I'm with you. I'm just contextualizing. Yeah, but it's wrong. And not only is it wrong, but it also needs to be severed. I also always stress the importance that, like, because sometimes people will be like, well, what if every Jew was pro-Israel? Yeah, I'd still be on fuck Israel o'clock. You know what I mean? Like, there is no, like, that doesn't change anything for me. You know? Because there are some people out there who go like, well, a significant number of Jews are pro-Israel. So if you're shitting on Israel, you're shitting on those Jews. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm shitting on those Jews for being pro-Israel in that situation. I'm shitting on anyone for being pro-Israel. I don't give a fuck. I'm anti-Israel. It has nothing to do with your own background. You chose to be pro-Israel, and you're a little fake too also on top of that, right? Because it's not like you're living there. Maybe you got some family there, which means it's even easier for you to go and live there, but you don't fucking want to. Because guess what? You're fucking American. Okay? Suck my dick. You're an American. You're an American Jew. You're not fucking Israeli. You don't live in Israel. You don't want to live in Israel. You literally, I know how you talk about Israel, about your Israeli relatives in private when you're around other Jews also living in America. I know how you talk about Israel, but then when it's talking to the out group, all of a sudden it's like, oh, what do you mean Israel is the most important thing? Okay, bitch, you don't live there. Why? Why do you live in Boca Raton? Why do you live in Sherman Oaks? Why do you live in Beverly Hills? Why don't you live in fucking Israel? Because you don't want to live there because you're fucking American. Cut it with this stupid ass bullshit. You have an unlimited amount of incentives to go live in Israel. Why the fuck do you live in America? I know why. Because you're fucking American. You're not Israeli. You're an American Jew. This sort of goes to the crux of the issue, much like the Jews can't wear the Star of David in public in America anymore conversation. No acknowledgement of what Star of David has come to represent in modern times and how it's been extricated from its religious foundation by those claiming to protect Jews. Israel is why people feel unsafe wearing the Star of David in America in 2025. Exactly. And like, that's the thing. Like, I don't make this conflation. Like, I don't automatically assume when I see a Jewish person, I don't immediately assume like, oh, this person's going to be fucking pro-Israel. They're going to hate me or whatever. Like, I don't do that. But the reality of the matter is, I don't think that's the norm anymore, unfortunately. I don't think it's appropriate, and I will always push back on that shit, and I will continue to push back on that shit in this community. But the reality of the matter is, as time goes on, and as Jonathan Greenblatt keeps doing shit like this, more and more Americans do unironically go, oh, okay. Like, what's going on? You like what your people are doing over there? Like, that's the attitude. Americans are like, they're not invested in like nuanced thinking. Okay, they're not. Is this similar to the Go Live in China crowd response to people supporting certain policies? No, it's not the same. You want to know why it's not the same? Because once again, Israel wants all Jews to live in Israel. Okay? Israel is an ethno-state. Israel wants all of the Jews to go live there. Israel has incentivized Jews to go and live in Israel. And American Jews are like, no, I'm American. I have my roots here. And then they are fake. They're phony. And they just act like they're, super invested in Israel. I'm not saying if you love Israel, go live in Israel. First of all, I don't want, Israel to accomplish its demographic goals anyway. That's why I always stress the importance that the greatest threat to Israel is not Hamas, is not the Palestinians existing, it's Sherman Oaks. That's a far greater threat because, as long as Jewish people can, freely come and live in the Western world, then why the fuck would they live in Israel? They're, in a constant state of panic. But the ultimate goal of Zionism is to make sure that all the Jews live in Israel. And they're not doing that, in spite of all of the incentives that the Israeli government offers to American Jews to go live in Israel.